Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into some seriously eye-opening source material that highlights a massive shift in our industry. Let's just set the record straight right out of the gate. Looking ahead to 2026, a data breach is absolutely no longer just a frustrating IT nuisance. It is a critical business survival issue. The days of simply calling the help desk when a server gets compromised, yeah, those are completely over. We're now operating in a landscape where how you handle a cyber incident directly determines the future of your entire organization.
Okay, let's dive into this. 250 crores. Just take a second and let that massive number sink in. Based on the research we're unpacking today, with the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, the DPDP Act, now in full effect, organizations are facing crushing penalties of up to 250 crores for failing to prevent a breach. That is the jarring reality we are dealing with. We're talking about the kind of financial stakes that can literally bankrupt a company overnight. This completely rewrites the playbook on how seriously we have to take data security.
And that brings us to a massive paradigm shift. If you're a chief information security officer, a top-level exec, or legal counsel watching this, you need to pay close attention here. We are officially moving away from the old view, where a breach was just an IT problem. The 2026 reality is that a breach is strictly classified as a governance failure. Cybersecurity is a strict legal mandate now. If hackers breach your system, regulators aren't just going to blame the software, they are looking right at the governance structure. They're going to demand to see your data fiduciary reports to prove you actually implemented what the law calls reasonable security safeguards.
To make matters even more intense, you really don't have a luxury of time anymore. The source material highlights the certain 6-hour rule. That's the strict mandate from India's National Cyber Agency. Imagine you're in the absolute thick of a chaotic cyber crisis. Systems are locking up, data is flashing across screens, everyone is panicking, and right then, you hear a ticking clock. Because you have exactly 6 hours to get your arms around what's happening and report it. It's a terrifyingly short mandatory window. It is literally a race against time and a battle for trust.
Section 1. Hidden Risks and Fatal Mistakes.
So we've established the stakes, but what are the invisible compounding dangers of a poorly managed response once that 6-hour clock starts ticking? Let's rapidly run through these catastrophic risks. First up, undetected exfiltration. Look, this isn't always a smash and grab. Hackers will often dwell in your network for months, quietly siphoning PII and trade secrets without anyone even noticing. Next is contaminated evidence, which we'll get into more in just a second. Then there's notification failure, missing those unforgiving legal timelines with the Data Protection Board. And finally, the most devastating of all, an inadmissible defense. If you don't handle the aftermath perfectly, you have no forensic chain of custody. You can't prove the true scope of the breach, and that leads straight to massive regulatory fines and total ruin. And this perfectly illustrates exactly how that inadmissible defense happens in the real world. The source text notes, and I quote, internal IT teams accidentally overwriting logs or rebooting servers, destroying evidence. When a breach happens, panic is your absolute worst enemy. Well-meaning internal IT teams rush in to stop the bleeding, and what do? They reboot a server, they run a script, and in doing so, they completely destroy the forensic chain of custody.
Section 2. The 6-phase recovery roadmap.
So, how do we actually prevent this panic and survive? Well, the source outlines a highly structured, battle-tested way to bring order to the chaos using elite forensic investigation. Here's how you successfully navigate that crisis. Step 1 is immediate containment, halting the data outflow without destroying a single thing. That flows directly into Step 2, evidence preservation, where you're creating bit-by-bit forensic images for legal admissibility. Step 3 is data impact mapping, to scan the actual exfiltration path. Then Step 4, root cause analysis. Was it an API flaw or maybe a vendor issue? Step 5 handles that crucial regulatory reporting with absolute technical precision. And finally, Step 6 is remediation and hardening to ensure no shadow backdoors remain. Each phase logically builds on the last to perfectly preserve your legal standing while halting data loss. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer breadth of the investigation required. To map that exfiltration path we just talked about, investigators have to use highly specialized technical services. PII discovery, for instance, finds hidden data. Cloud forensics is absolutely essential because breaches happen in SaaS platforms like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, and AWS, just as often as on-premise servers. And it even extends to dark web monitoring. You literally have to track if your stolen data is currently being auctioned off to the highest bidder in the darkest corners of the internet.
Section 3. Restoring stakeholder trust.
Once the immediate technical fire is out, we move into the aftermath phase, because surviving a breach isn't just about patching a firewall. It's ultimately about protecting your brand from class action lawsuits, public naming and shaming, and a total loss of customer confidence. Proper forensic investigation delivers key benefits that literally save the brand. It limits legal liability by proving exactly what was and wasn't stolen, so you aren't over-reporting. It ensures you meet reporting deadlines and provides chain of custody assurance for court. But the absolutely crucial concept from the source material is this last point: bilingual expertise. During a crisis, you need investigators who speak two languages. They have to speak the highly technical language of the CISO to understand the attack, and simultaneously speak the legal language of your corporate counsel to draft perfectly compliant Data Protection Board reports. I want to conclude our explainer today with this provocative thought. If you suspect a breach, are you preserving living evidence or destroying it? Our source provides a fascinating yet completely terrifying fact. If you suspect a breach and your first instinct is to simply turn off a compromised server, you instantly clear the server's RAM. That RAM contains the living evidence of the attacker's presence. By flipping the switch, you're destroying the evidence. So think about your own incident response plan right now. When the storm hits, will your team know exactly what to do, or will they accidentally destroy your only defense? Thanks for joining me on this explainer of the latest cybersecurity governance reports, and I hope this leaves you eager to rethink your readiness for 2026.